The town lay silent under a crimson dusk, shadows stretching long over the cracked earth. A church bell tolled once, echoing like a funeral drum. Samuel said, "A place too quiet holds secrets best left alone." His boots pressed dust from the road as he entered the square. The wooden facades leaned tiredly, windows dark, as if holding their breath. A stray dog darted, and silence returned, heavier. The church doors groaned open, and the smell of damp wood rose. Samuel's eyes narrowed, his hand brushing the revolver at his hip. A whisper stirred inside the hollow nave, though no soul appeared. He felt the weight of years pressing through the air. He muttered, "A place like this remembers more than it forgives." His shadows stretched across the altar. Beneath the floorboards something ancient waited, restless. Samuel moved down the aisle, boots hollow against the boards. The church seemed to breathe with him. He said, "This place is wrong." The air smelled of mildew and forgotten prayers. Stained glass fractured light into cruel shards. Each step tightened his chest. His hand lingered near his weapon. A whisper brushed past again, too soft to claim as real. He thought of towns gone silent before, towns where lawmen vanished, and graves grew too quickly. He muttered, "Secrets always rot from the floor up." The boards creaked louder as though answering him. He froze. Somewhere beneath, something shifted. Samuel stopped before the altar, hand firm on revolver. His breath sounded too loud in the hollow chamber. He whispered, "Show yourself." No answer came. Dust fell in faint ribbons from rafters above. He knelt, running his hand across warped planks. The grain was scarred, dark stains bleeding outward. He pressed his ear down. A hollow echo replied. His jaw tightened. "There's something buried here," he muttered. The silence grew unbearable, heavy as a coffin lid. He stood, scanning the pews for movement. Shadows curled like fingers across the floor. A storm gathered outside, thunder rolling faintly. The storm struck, lightning flashing through stained glass, painting Samuel's face in violent colors. The church shuddered with the thunder's weight. He said, "Even the sky remembers." His hand dug into the boards, nails scraping splinters. He stood and drove his boot down hard, a crack answering him. The sound echoed sharp, unnatural. His heart hammered. A voice seemed to groan beneath, not human but suffering. Samuel whispered, "God forgive me, but I need to know." His revolver gleamed in the light as his eyes stayed fixed on the altar's base. The crack widened, dust billowing upward. Samuel coughed, waving it aside. Beneath, the outline of bones glimmered faintly, pale against black soil. His breath faltered. He said, "Lord have mercy." A skull stared through the gap, jaw slack as if in eternal scream. Samuel staggered back, revolver drawn. The storm raged louder, wind rattling the doors. The church no longer felt empty, it felt watching. Shadows stretched across the bones. Samuel whispered, "This town's heart is buried here." The boards moaned once more, like a warning he could not yet understand. Samuel stood outside the church, the storm settling into steady rain. His coat clung heavy against his shoulders. He whispered, "This town's heart beats underground." The streets were empty, windows shuttered. A lantern flickered in the sheriff's office. Samuel's eyes hardened. No one hides bones under God's floor without reason. He moved toward the saloon, mud sucking at his boots. The silence pressed against him, thick as the storm clouds above. He thought of his past, the graves left behind, the sins that never washed away. Samuel muttered, "Redemption's a lie, but truth might still be found." He pushed open the swinging doors. The saloon smelled of whiskey and wood smoke. A piano sat silent, keys chipped. At the bar stood Matthew, a male, wide-eyed and eager, wiping glasses though no customers remained. He looked up and said, "Stranger, storms like this keep ghosts awake." Samuel removed his hat, shaking rain loose. eyes cold. He said, "Storms don't bury bones. Men do." Matthew froze, his hand trembling against glass. He whispered, "You've been to the church, haven't you?" Samuel gave no answer, only a look that cut deeper than steel. Matthew leaned closer, his voice barely rising above the creak of wood. "They say the church floor holds sinners too wicked for burial ground." His eyes darted toward the door. Samuel said, "Whose bones are they?" Matthew swallowed hard. "Sheriff's men never ask questions. They make sure no one does." Samuel gritted his teeth, muttering, "A lawman who buries truth is worse than any outlaw." Matthew's face carried both fear and curiosity. He whispered, "You should leave before he finds you. No stranger walks into this town without leaving something behind." Samuel said, "I already left enough behind." The saloon doors banged open, wind driving rain inside. Sheriff Alden entered, male, tall, clean-shaven, eyes sharp and cold, badge gleaming. His coat was spotless, despite the storm. He said, "New face in town." Samuel turned, hand near revolver. Alden smiled thinly. "Heard you took a liking to our church." Samuel said, "It's hard to ignore what's beneath a man's feet." Alden's smile faded. He stepped closer, boots thudding heavy. "Some truths belong buried," he said. Matthew's hands trembled, glass slipping, shattering on the floor. The room thickened with silence. Alden's gaze pinned Samuel like a nail. "You keep your nose out of our soil," he said. Samuel muttered, "Soil soaked in secrets ain't fit for the living." Alden's hand brushed his holster, but he didn't draw. His voice carried weight like iron. "Last man who asks questions sleeps beneath that floor." Samuel's jaw tightened. He said, "Then maybe I'll join him, or maybe I'll dig him up." Matthew gasped, backing away. Lightning split the sky outside, shadows crawling across the sheriff's face. Samuel stepped out into the storm-dark street, the saloon's doors creaking shut behind him. Rain streaked his face as he muttered, "The lawman's smile hides graves." Lightning lit the sheriff's office across the way, its lantern glowing like a false beacon. He clenched his jaw, feeling the weight of every shadow pressing closer. His past roared in his ears. Men buried by lies, justice stolen by crooked hands. "I won't run again," he said, voice steady despite the storm. A figure moved across the porch. Eliza, the saloon singer, watching silently with eyes sharp as glass. Eliza stepped into the rain, her voice smooth but edged with warning. "You stir dust better left settled," she said. Samuel met her gaze, noting the steel behind her beauty. "I saw bones," he answered. Her lips pressed tight, eyes flicking toward the sheriff's office. "Then you've seen too much," Samuel muttered. "Truth doesn't rot quiet." Eliza's hand trembled as she pulled her shawl close. She whispered, "Men who dig here end up under the church." Her eyes softened briefly. "Leave before the ground swallows you too." Samuel said, "Leaving died with my past." They moved under the saloon awning, rain hammering the roof. Eliza said, "The sheriff owns this town body and soul. Even graves pay him dues." Samuel's eyes narrowed. "He'll answer for what he's done." Her tone cracked, softer now. "You don't understand, stranger. Alden buries more than men. He buries names, truths, whole families." Samuel muttered, "I've lived in graves made of silence. No more." Eliza's eyes lingered on his face, searching for weakness. She whispered, "Then be ready to bleed for it." Thunder crashed, shaking the glass panes beside them. The sheriff's men appeared in the street, two figures moving with rifles across their shoulders. Rain glistened on their slick coats. Samuel's hand fell to his revolver, steady as stone. Eliza hissed, "Don't be a fool." He said, "Fools are the ones who turn away." The deputies stopped at the church door, glancing over their shoulders. One muttered something lost in the storm. Samuel whispered, "They guard the bones." His eyes followed their movements, rage tightening every muscle. Eliza's face paled. "You'll hang if you cross him," she warned. Samuel muttered, "I've been hanging my whole life." The church bell rang once, though no hand pulled its rope. The deputies froze, eyes wide. Eliza whispered, "Even the dead want to stay quiet." Samuel stepped from the awning into the rain, boots splashing mud. "Then it's time someone listened," he said. Lightning cut the sky, revealing his face carved in determination. The deputies raised their rifles, but hesitation haunted their eyes. Samuel's voice carried through the storm. "You can bury the past, but you can't chain the truth forever." The bell tolled again, louder, shaking the town to its bones. A reckoning had begun. The storm calmed to a drizzle, but the tension grew heavier. Samuel walked toward the church, each step sinking into mud. Eliza followed, her voice low. "You don't understand. The bones belong to more than strangers." Samuel stopped, eyes narrowing. "Whose then?" She hesitated, rain streaking her face. "Families who defied Alden." Her lips trembled. "My father among them." Samuel's breath caught, a silence sharper than any blade. Eliza's eyes burned with guilt. "I kept his secrets to stay alive." Samuel whispered, "And now you wear his chains." Lightning struck, illuminating the church doors waiting to be opened. Inside, the church reeked of mildew and dust. Samuel's boots echoed on warped boards. Eliza stood behind him, voice shaking. "My father led the last rebellion against Alden. He died screaming beneath this floor." Samuel froze, staring at the altar. The sheriff's justice buried in God's house. Eliza's hands clutched her dress. "I sang for him, smiled for him, so he wouldn't bury me too." Samuel muttered, "You've been his prisoner in plain sight." Eliza's tears shone in lantern light. "I played his game, but you came, and now the truth will burn us all." Samuel's hand brushed his revolver. The boards groaned as if stirred by their voices. Samuel crouched, fingers brushing the cracks. He said, "The ground remembers." Eliza whispered, "He forced me to keep quiet. My song was bought with blood." Samuel's jaw tightened, eyes locked on her. "Why tell me now?" She stepped closer, shadows painting her face. "Because you look like a man with nothing left to lose, and I need someone like that." Samuel rose slowly. "I lost everything long before I came here." The bell rang again above them, shaking dust from the rafters. Both froze, knowing they weren't alone. The doors burst open. Sheriff Alden strode in, male, coat immaculate, badge gleaming. His men flanked him, rifles ready. "Digging graves, Samuel?" he sneered. Samuel's revolver gleamed in his hand. "Truth doesn't stay buried." Alden smirked. "This town lives because I buried it." He gestured toward Eliza. "She sings because I let her. She breathes because she obeys." Eliza's hands shook, her face pale. Samuel muttered, "Chains look like smiles when worn too long." Alden's eyes hardened. "You'll join the bones you've uncovered." Thunder cracked, drowning their breath in raw defiance. The air thickened with gun oil and thunder. Alden stepped forward. "You think you can change what's carved in dirt?" Samuel's voice rang like iron. "Not change. Expose." Eliza whispered, "He killed my father." Alden's eyes burned. "Your father was a traitor." Samuel's revolver rose steady, his voice sharp. "No, he was the last honest man in this town." Eliza gasped, tears breaking free. The bell rang a third time, louder, shaking beams above. Alden snarled, "Then you'll join him beneath the boards." Samuel's finger tightened on the trigger. The storm roared outside like judgment coming down. The church air grew heavy as the storm howled outside. Samuel raised his revolver, voice sharp. "This ends here." Alden smirked, stepping forward. "You can't kill the law." Eliza trembled, whispering, "He is no law, only a grave digger." The deputies cocked their rifles, thunder echoing their defiance. Samuel's eyes burned with resolve. "I've buried enough men, but you," his breath caught, voice cold, You were already dead inside. Alden's hand brushed his holster. The silence before the storm was unbearable, the town itself seeming to wait for the first shot to split the night in two. The first shot rang, a crack louder than thunder. A deputy fell, clutching his chest, rifle clattering across the boards. Eliza screamed, stumbling back toward the altar. Samuel dove sideways, bullets splintering pews. Alden's revolver barked, sparks lighting the dark. Samuel rolled to his knees, firing again, the shot slamming into the second deputy's shoulder. Blood sprayed the wall. "You're finished, Alden," Samuel roared. The sheriff sneered, eyes blazing. "I built this town on bones. Yours will be next." The bell tolled overhead, shaking dust down in choking clouds. Smoke filled the nave, gunpowder stinging the air. Samuel crouched behind broken pews, chest heaving. Eliza pressed herself against the altar, eyes wide with terror. Alden stalked forward, boots echoing. "You can't fight the tide, Samuel," he growled. Samuel rose, eyes steady. Tide turns when men stand. Alden fired, bullet grazing Samuel's arm, blood soaking his sleeve. Samuel grunted, but did not falter. "You'll answer for every grave," he hissed. Eliza cried out, "Don't let him bury another soul." Lightning flashed through glass, painting the floor red with reflection. Alden aimed for Samuel's heart, voice filled with venom. "You'll rot with the rest." Samuel steadied his revolver, blood dripping from his arm. Eliza screamed, rushing forward, grasping Alden's arm. His shot went wild, shattering stained glass. Samuel seized the moment, stepping from cover. "This is for the graves you silenced," he said. His revolver thundered, the bullet striking Alden's chest. The sheriff staggered, badge gleaming one last time. "This town dies with me," Alden rasped. Eliza cried, "No, it lives without you." Alden collapsed, blood spreading dark against the altar. The church fell silent except for the storm's distant growl. Alden lay still, eyes glassy, blood pooling. Samuel lowered his revolver, chest heaving, sweat and blood mixing on his face. Eliza knelt by the altar, tears streaming. "My father rests at last," she whispered. Samuel holstered his weapon slowly. "No more graves tonight." The bell tolled once more, softer, as if the dead sighed in release. Samuel looked at Eliza, pain in his eyes. "This truth will cost us both." She nodded, voice broken. "But at least the truth lives." Outside, dawn's pale light broke the storm. The storm faded into silence, dawn creeping across the ruined town. Inside the church, Samuel stood over Alden's body, revolver heavy at his side. Eliza whispered, "It's over." Samuel shook his head, voice low. "Nothing's ever over. Bones still rot beneath these boards." She touched the altar, eyes shimmering. "But my father can rest now." Samuel's gaze softened for the first time. He muttered, "Rest is earned, not given." The bell swayed gently in the morning breeze, no longer ominous, only tired. Dust drifted like ash in shafts of pale light. The weight of silence was unbearable. Samuel walked into the muddy street, boots sinking with each step. The townsfolk emerged from shuttered homes, faces pale with fear. An old man asked, "Is it done?" Samuel's silence was answer enough. Eyes darted to the church steeple, whispers spreading like fire. A child clutched his mother's hand, staring wide-eyed at the stranger with the bloody sleeve. Samuel muttered, "Truth don't set you free. It only makes chains heavier." Eliza joined him, voice steady, "But it makes them real." The townsfolk bowed heads, torn between grief and relief. Dawn light painted them all in weary gold. The wounded deputy staggered forward, clutching his arm. "You've doomed us all," he spat, blood dripping into the mud. Samuel leveled his gaze. "No, I buried the man who doomed you." The deputy snarled, eyes blazing with hatred and fear. Eliza stepped between them. "No more blood," she pleaded. Samuel's revolver twitched, but he lowered it. The deputy collapsed, too weak to continue. "Alden kept order," he rasped. Samuel's voice cut sharp. "Order built on graves ain't order. It's rot." The man groaned, eyes rolling shut. Rainwater washed his blood into the dirt, crimson fading into earth. Inside the saloon, silence lingered. Broken glass crunched under Samuel's boots as he crossed the floor. Matthew, male, pale and trembling, whispered, "You killed the sheriff." Samuel poured whiskey into a cracked glass, hand steady despite blood loss. "He killed himself years ago. I just finished the job." Matthew's eyes darted nervously. "What happens now?" Eliza stepped forward, voice stronger than before. "Now the town decides if it wants life or rot." Samuel drank, grimacing at the burn. "Men like Alden don't die easy, his shadow linger." The boy nodded, fear and hope battling in his eyes. The town bell rang once more, this time pulled by townsfolk gathering at the church. Samuel and Eliza stood at the edge of the crowd. A woman cried, "Bury them proper." Men lifted boards, revealing the bones beneath. The people gasped, some weeping, others silent. Samuel whispered, "Truth has a price." Eliza took his hand, her voice soft. "But it buys tomorrow." Samuel's eyes hardened as he watched the graves open. Tomorrow's built on blood. The sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light over skulls, once hidden in darkness. The town finally faced what it had buried. The morning sun crept higher, its light striking the broken church windows. Samuel stood apart from the townsfolk, mud caking his boots. He whispered, "Every bone tells a story, and every story leaves scars." Eliza approached, her shawl pulled tight, voice soft. "They'll remember you for this." Samuel's gaze lingered on the graves being uncovered. "No, they'll remember him." His eyes fell on Alden's body still at the altar. Eliza's hand brushed his arm, hesitant. "Then, what do you remember?" Samuel's face hardened. "That even truth don't heal. It only cuts deeper." His shadow stretched long across the ground. Children gathered near the graves, their small hands clutching parents' coats. A boy asked, "Are they ghosts now?" Samuel overheard, his heart tightening. Eliza knelt, voice trembling but gentle. "They're not ghosts, they're truths." Samuel turned away, muttering, "Truth don't rest easy." The townsfolk began covering the bodies with fresh soil, prayers whispered into the morning wind. For the first time, the town faced its past in daylight. Samuel's eyes swept across the crowd, faces lined with grief. He thought of his own past, the graves he carried. His voice cracked softly, no soil deep enough hides sin forever. Inside the saloon, Samuel sat at the bar, his revolver resting beside a half-empty glass. Matthew stood behind, voice unsteady. "Will you stay?" Samuel shook his head. "Men like me don't belong where roots grow." Eliza entered, her presence filling the silence. She said, "You've given them back their fathers, their sons." Samuel's voice was low, almost weary. "I gave them bones. It's up to them to make life from it." Matthew whispered, "Then what about you?" Samuel rose slowly, holstering his weapon. His eyes met Eliza's, burdened but resolute. "I keep walking, that's all I know." Samuel stepped into the empty street, the sky clear for the first time. The air smelled of wet earth and new beginnings. Eliza followed him onto the porch, voice low. "You don't have to carry it alone." Samuel adjusted his hat, shadows cutting across his face. "We all carry our dead. Some just walk heavier." Her eyes softened, a plea unspoken. He turned slightly, gaze catching hers. "Your song's free now. Use it," she whispered. "And you? Where will you go?" He paused, the silence heavier than words. "Wherever the road forgets my name," he said, stepping away. Samuel walked toward the horizon, his silhouette framed by rising sun. Each step echoed with weight, mud falling from his boots. Eliza watched, her eyes glistening, voice faint. "Goodbye, stranger." He didn't turn back. The town stood behind him, graves unearthed, truth uncovered, yet scars unhealed. Samuel whispered to himself, "No man outruns the past. You just learn to walk beside it." The wind carried his words into silence. His figure shrank against the vast desert sky, swallowed by light and dust. The church bell tolled one last time, soft and final. The town would remember. He would not.